Hey, true believers, Woody here. Chris is still out sick, so I am guest hosting basically to do another comic book review. Today we are going to go over the very first Howard the Duck. Um, this is actually a reprint, so this is not the original. I wish I had the original. Um, but this, Howard is one of my favorite characters. I really like more alternative comic books. Um, so he is one of my favorite heroes, basically. Um, the original Howard the Duck is really sarcastic and funny, a little self-deprecating, really enjoyable to read. The newer Howard the Ducks that have come out are so-so, and we'll kind of go into that. So we'll do a little bit of a backstory. Um, Howard the Duck first appeared in Adventures into Fear with the Man-Thing in 1973. He was created by Steve Gerber to kind of go along as kind of a sidekick or at least a gag in the Man-Thing comics. Man-Thing didn't really talk at all, so it was more of just a comic book of him going around smashing things or destroying things. So Howard was added in to give a little bit of dialogue. After only a couple of issues, he was killed off. A lot of the fans didn't like that. They actually enjoyed Howard, and there was actually a letter campaign that even got a little confrontational, sent in, and people demanded more Howard the Duck. So because of that, he did appear in a few more of the Man-Thing comics until 1976 when he finally got his own comic, and that's what we have here. Let's take a look inside. There is obviously some controversy here too. There's an interesting backstory. So, along with just being meant to be a gag character, he was really kind of the brainchild of Steve Gerber, who ran with him through a couple of different iterations, but really came up with him and what his character was meant to be, how he was meant to look, and all this. After just a short time of him having his own series, Disney had a little problem with him because he was somewhat similar to Donald Duck. And so Disney had contacted Marvel and asked them to make several changes or get rid of Howard altogether. First of all, they wanted him to wear pants just so he wouldn't look so much like Donald the Duck. They also wanted him to have human toes. I don't know why that is. That's just kind of weird. But those were some of the demands, and Marvel agreed to those, even though Steve Gerber himself did not. And Steve Gerber kept doing a few more issues in his original style of Howard. There have been some other artists that have done Howard the Duck, and they have complied with those demands. So even in the like the 1980s movie, he wears pants. And I am a big fan of that movie. I know a lot of people hate that movie and just think it's dumb, but I think it was great. And I'm a big fan of anything that's kind of ridiculous and silly. So Steve Gerber was even asked to make more comics over time. At one point he did. They didn't quite do what he wanted, so that issue or those issues were scrapped. In, I believe, 2007, Steve Gerber died, and somebody else picked up and made a new Howard the Duck series. I believe I have a few issues of that one. It's good. I enjoyed it. It did not last long, and it was not nearly as ridiculous and funny as the old ones. So, okay, enough talking. Let's get into this one. So this first Howard the Duck was made in 1976. Again, this is a reprint. The reprint came out in 2019. So definitely check with your local comic book shops. They might have this reprint, and I would say this is definitely a great book to have because as opposed to other comic books, this was actually part of a magazine, and it is pretty thick. This is a nice thick comic book with lots of story, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's very silly. So Howard the Duck was created and written by Steve Gerber. Illustrations and color by Frank, I think, Berner. I know Steve Gerber did some of the art as well. Inked by Steve, oh man, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. Who knows? Loaha? I screwed that up and I apologize. Letter and editor John Costanza and Marv Wolfman. So this starts out in kind of a dark place. It does pick up after the couple of issues where he was with Man-Thing. And it talks about twice he has saved the city of Cleveland. First, from a warty menace of the man-frog, and from the fangs of the horrible hell cow. So we're already getting ridiculous. But Howard is kind of in a dark place. He's saved the world a few times, and he's gotten no respect or no accolades from that, and so he's contemplating committing suicide. Probably a little brief warning, this issue does deal with a little bit of negativity, depression, suicide, but after just a few pages it gets right into silliness and ridiculousness. But it does start out in a little bit of a dark place. Howard is from another world, and so right now he is on the banks of the Chattanooga River in near Cleveland. Again, like I said, he's contemplating suicide, he's depressed, he's angry. And then off in the distance, he noticed this strange tower out in the middle of the river. And he decides, what the heck? Let's go check out that tower. Maybe I can jump off from there, and that will be a better death than drowning in this disgusting river. As he gets to the tower, he notices that the exterior of the tower isn't made out of bricks or masonry like you would think, and instead it's made out of credit cards. Very strange. He climbs and he climbs. He gets up to a window, and inside he sees a beautiful half-dressed woman. As a kid, I always thought that was Red Sonja. It is not Red Sonja. It's actually Beverly, who is Howard the Duck's kind of sidekick and love interest throughout his series. Beverly is chained up. She's in this kind of Red Sonja-esque metal bikini. And as Howard's trying to figure this out, they are attacked by what appears to be a savage wolf. Through sheer luck, Howard defeats the wolf, who turns out to be a transformed man. And he is actually a barbarian who was the henchman of this dark character. If the story wasn't already wacky enough, we kind of get to learn who this dark character is here in just a minute. But before that, we do have a guest star in this. So here's our good boy, Peter Parker. He's at J. Jonah Jameson's office, and he's being told that he needs to get on a plane to Cleveland to look into this mutant menace. There is a duck that talks like a man. And Peter, what the heck? Cleveland? A duck? I'm going to be sick. Obviously, this sounds ridiculous. Howard, after being struck by our menacing figure, wakes up, and he is now missing his clothes and is instead dressed as a barbarian, very similar to Beverly over here. Again, this is Cleveland. So why do we have this fantasy situation? Very strange, but it's all due to our dark figure, whose name is Prorata. I'm going to read you a little bit of this just because it's so hilarious and ridiculous. Upon the office of Prorata, soon to be the chief accountant of the universe, and note especially my prize of prizes, the cosmic calculator. For your fates are intimately tied to the missing jewel key. By whatever means necessary, I must produce this key by midnight. For at that hour, the stellar balance sheet comes into alignment. The astral audit may be taken, and I alone shall collect the cosmic dividend. Just ridiculous. I love it. I love it. Our evil wizard here is a chief accountant of the universe, or wants to be. So since Howard defeated our barbarian, he is now being recruited by this chief accountant, or maybe forced. Recruited isn't the right word. But he's being forced through this portal, along with his new sidekick, to basically obtain this jeweled key. As the two of them walk through this weird fantasy land, they're confronted by -7, who is basically just an evil henchman in their way. And they finally approach a tower that is completely covered in numbers. They go through the entrance to the tower between these two stone golems who seem to be asleep. And right inside, with no obstacle course or anything whatsoever, is the jeweled key. And so now they have to figure out how to get it. It's suspended above a pit. And down in that pit, we can see spikes and lots of bones of the people that previously tried to get the key. Now, Howard, he's a little frustrated. Just think, that's all. Nuts. I wish I had a cigar to clamp on, and that would help me concentrate. Well, our good friend Beverly actually snuck Howard's last cigar into the scabbard of his sword, and that's all Howard needs. With a little bit of concentration and a puff of the stogie, he figures out a way to obtain the jewel key. They get it, and they try to flee the tower, but something has triggered the stone golems, and they come to life and chase the two down. I love these old comics with all the old ads. They have some of the neatest and most ridiculous ads inside of them. As they, I think I missed a page. Maybe not. As they are fleeing the stone golems, they're also attacked by this huge bird. It's a kind of like a pterodactyl type thing. They kite the bird into the stone golems, and so they end up battling. But as Howard and Beverly flee through the portal, the huge bird monster follows them through and appears on top of the tower in Cleveland, destroying part of the tower itself. Spider-Man has heard some of this commotion, and he is on his way to see what the heck is going on. Now, Pro Rata, our evil accountant of the stars, is demanding the key. But Howard, in his infinite wisdom, decides to throw the key off the side of the temple, or the top of the tower, rather than giving the key over so that this Pro Rata can get ultimate power. Unknowing to them, it is caught by Spider-Man as he climbs his way up. Pro Rata unleashes some evil magical powers towards Spider-Man, but Howard the Duck pushes him, and the evil powers pass right over Spider-Man's head, saving Spider-Man's life. Now, I won't finish the comic book for you, but it's a lot of fun. Howard, with his snarky comments and his bravery, saves the day, along with the help of Spider-Man, and they start a new friendship. And as Spider-Man leaves off into the sunset, Howard gets to know his new pal Beverly a little better. Now, like I said, this is a great comic. I thoroughly enjoy kind of these alternative comics. This one has a lot of sarcasm, has, like I said, a little bit of Howard being self-deprecating. He's a little depressed at the beginning, but he becomes a hero by the end. I also am a bit of a horn dog or pervert when it comes to old books, and I love the Red Sonja type characters and the scantily clad ladies running around in the background. And Beverly is not just a damsel in distress, but she is also a hero in some of this series as well, and really helps Howard through most of his things. If you've enjoyed this review, definitely try to hunt down these books. I know there are some reprints out there. There are some other ongoing Howard the Duck series. Check those out as well. I definitely think the original is the best. He was the funniest. He was the most sarcastic, and thoroughly enjoyable. If you will, at the end of this, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps the Comictopia Club channel out more than you can know. Other than that, that's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Continue reading. Thank you, true believers. Have a good day.